The night was cruel. The wind howled through the broken windows of an old alley in the lower sector of Orion City. The temperature had dropped below freezing and every breath came out as white mist. A woman named Lena sat against a cracked wall, holding her little daughter close. The girl's name was Meera, no more than 6 years old. Her small feet were turning blue, her lips trembling as she tried to hide her pain. Lena wrapped the girl tighter in her worn coat, but it was useless. The coat was thin, torn in many places. She had sold her gloves last week just to buy Meera a bowl of soup. For 3 days they had eaten nothing but scraps. Meera's small stomach growled quietly as she looked up at her mother. "Mommy, is it morning yet?" she whispered. Lena smiled weakly. "Soon, baby. We'll find something warm soon." But inside, her heart was breaking. She had promised herself never to beg again. Not after what happened the last time. But tonight was different. She looked at Meera's feet, small, fragile, almost frozen. If she didn't find heat or food soon, her daughter might not make it through the night. Lena stood up slowly, the wind biting her cheeks. She looked around the city. The upper levels of Orion glowed with light, where the rich and powerful lived. But down here in the lower shadows, the poor were invisible. She knew what kind of people came out at night. Traders, thieves, and sometimes worse. Still, she started walking, carrying Meera in her arms. At the far end of the alley, a glowing sign flickered. Nova Diner, hot meals. 24 hours. The smell of grilled food made Lena's heart twist. She hadn't smelled real food in weeks. Inside the diner, people laughed and ate under the warm yellow light. Outside, Lena stood in the cold, watching through the glass. She whispered to herself, "Just one hot meal. For my daughter." But she had no credits left. Nothing to offer. Nothing but herself. She looked at the reflection in the glass. Tired eyes, tangled hair, and a face that once held beauty before hunger took it away. Lena took a deep breath and pushed the door open. A small bell rang. The warm air hit her face, and for a second it felt like heaven. The diners turned to look. Some frowned. Others ignored her. Behind the counter, a man with a thick beard, the owner, narrowed his eyes. "We don't serve beggars here," he said coldly. Lena didn't speak. She just held her daughter tighter. "Please," she said softly. "She's just a child. One hot meal. That's all I ask." The man shook his head. "Out, before I call the guards." Tears filled Lena's eyes. She turned to leave, and then a voice came from one of the back tables. "Wait." Everyone turned. A man in a dark coat stood up. His eyes were sharp but not unkind. His voice was calm, deep and strange, like someone who didn't belong in this place. "I'll pay for their meal," he said. The owner frowned. "You sure, sir?" "She's trouble." "I'm sure," the man replied. He looked at Lena. "Sit. Feed the child." Lena hesitated, but the warmth inside was too tempting. She sat down in a corner, holding Meera close as the waitress brought a bowl of steaming soup. Meera's eyes lit up. She started eating slowly, carefully, as if afraid it would vanish. Lena whispered, "Thank you." "Thank you, sir." The man sat opposite her. His coat looked expensive but old, like someone who had traveled far. He studied her for a moment. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "Not with a child." Lena nodded silently. "We had nowhere else to go." Then he leaned forward slightly. "What would you do? For another hot meal? For shelter tonight?" Lena froze. The room suddenly felt colder again. She looked into his eyes. There was something different about them. Too calm, too focused. He placed a small metal card on the table. It glowed faintly on not a credit chip, but something else. "I can offer you safety, warmth, but you must agree to come with me." Lena's heart raced. She didn't know who this man was, but her daughter's hands were shaking and her feet were turning blue again. One hot meal. That's all she had asked for. Now she faced a choice that could change everything. Should she trust the stranger? Or walk back into the freezing dark? As she looked down at her sleeping child, her lips trembled. "I'll go," she whispered. The man nodded slowly, his eyes glinting with something unreadable. Outside, the storm howled louder, as if warning her she had just stepped into something far bigger than hunger. The storm outside grew stronger, the city lights flickering through the fogged windows of the diner. Lena sat silently watching the stranger. Her heart beat fast, her mind full of fear and hope at the same time. The man's name was Cale. He looked human, but there was something different about him. His movements too smooth, his eyes too sharp, glowing faintly silver when the light hit them. He pushed the small glowing card toward her. "Take it," he said calmly. "It's an access key. You and your daughter will be safe where I live." Lena hesitated. "Why are you helping us?" she asked softly. Cale looked down at his hands. "Because I know what hunger feels like." His voice carried a strange sadness, something heavy behind the calm. Still, Lena didn't trust him completely. She had learned that kindness in the lower city often came with a price. But Meera's small hand gripped her sleeve. The girl whispered, "Mommy, I'm warm here. Can we stay with the nice man?" Lena's throat tightened. She looked at her daughter's pale face, her tiny smile, and knew she couldn't risk another night in the cold. She nodded slowly. "We'll go with you." Cale stood and handed her a small thermal blanket. "Wrap her feet," he said. "She'll be safe now." They left the diner quietly. The snow-covered streets of Orion City were almost empty, only the glow of sky trains passing high above. Cale led them through narrow alleys, his boots leaving deep prints in the slush. Lena followed closely, carrying Meera, wrapped in the blanket. She noticed something odd. The snow didn't seem to touch Kyle. It melted before reaching him, like the air around him was warmer. She wanted to ask, but fear kept her silent. Finally, they reached a large gate hidden behind old storage crates. Kyle touched his card to a glowing pad, and the metal doors opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a clean, warm space. Lights, machines, and faint humming sounds. Lena blinked in surprise. This is your home?" Cale nodded. "It's a safe house. Not many people know it exists." He guided them inside. The air was warm and smelled faintly of metal and ozone. Machines lined the walls, blinking softly. In the center stood a sleek table with medical equipment. Meera's eyes widened. "Mommy, it's like a spaceship." Cale smiled faintly. "Close enough." He opened a small compartment and took out a silver container. Steam rose as he poured warm soup into a bowl. "Eat this," he said, handing it to Lena. Lena hesitated again. "Why are you doing this?" Kyle's expression softened. "Because I owe a promise. To someone who once saved me." Lena didn't understand, but she was too hungry to argue. She took the bowl and handed it to Meera, who drank eagerly. Cale watched them quietly, then turned to a console. His fingers moved over glowing symbols. Suddenly, the wall behind him changed, displaying a hologram. It showed the Galactic Authority emblem. Lena's stomach dropped. "You're with the Authority?" she whispered. Cale looked back at her. "I was," he said. "Not anymore. What happened?" "They call it betrayal," he said slowly. "I call it mercy." He looked at Meera, then his eyes filled with something deep, like memory. "Your daughter reminds me of someone I once failed to save." Lena's heart softened a little. She didn't know what this man had done, but she could feel he wasn't lying. Still, something about this place made her uneasy. The machines hummed like they were alive. Cale noticed her staring. "You're safe here," he said. "But you need to know something." He walked closer, lowering his voice. "The Galactic Authority doesn't forgive people like me. If they find you here, they'll see you as part of my crime." Lena froze. "Crime? What did you do?" Cale's face darkened. "I built something forbidden. A prototype that could save lives. But the law said it was illegal." He looked at her daughter. "I created an artificial organ, one that could replace dying lungs. It was meant for children like her. But they destroyed my lab and called it a threat to natural evolution." Lena's eyes widened. "You built artificial lungs?" "Yes, but I failed to protect the first child I made them for." The room fell silent. Only the faint hum of machines filled the air. Lena held Meera closer. "Why are you telling me this?" Cale met her gaze. "Because your daughter's body temperature is dropping. Her lungs are weak. She won't survive the cold much longer. I can save her. But only if you trust me." Lena's breath caught. She looked down at Meera, the little girl's chest rising weakly, her skin pale and cold. Her heart ached. She didn't know who Cale really was, a savior or a danger. But she knew one thing. She couldn't lose her daughter. She whispered, trembling, "What do you need me to do?" Cale turned to the machines, his eyes glowing faintly again. "Just stay with me. And don't tell anyone what you see here. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, the hum of forbidden technology filled the air. Lena had no idea she had just stepped into the center of a secret that could change the galaxy forever. The night deepened outside, but inside Kale's hidden base everything glowed with soft blue light. Machines whispered like voices in sleep. Lena sat near a heater, watching her daughter breathe weakly. Meera's skin was pale, her lips almost white. Kale moved quickly around the lab, checking readings on glowing screens. His face stayed calm, but his eyes showed something fierce, determination mixed with guilt. Lena's voice was low. "You said you can save her. How?" Kale turned, his long coat brushing against the metal floor. "I told you before. I made something that can replace dying lungs. A living machine, part human, part synthetic. It learns to breathe like us." He looked down at Meera. "Her lungs are failing because of the cold and infection. If we wait any longer..." Lena's heart clenched. "Then do it," she said. "Save her." Kale nodded, but his expression darkened. "It's not that simple. The authority banned this tech for a reason. They believe it changes the definition of what it means to be alive. If they find out, they'll destroy her too." Lena stood up, trembling. "I don't care about laws. I just want my daughter to live." Kale's voice softened. "Then you must promise me something. Once this starts, there's no turning back. She won't be fully human anymore." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "She's my daughter. No matter what she becomes," Kale nodded once. "Then let's begin." He moved to the main table and activated a panel. The floor lit up in a circle of soft blue light. Robotic arms unfolded from the ceiling, each moving with careful precision. Meera stirred weakly. "Mommy, where are we?" Lena knelt beside her and stroked her hair. "You're safe, baby. You're going to feel better soon." Kale injected a gentle sedative into Meera's arm. The child relaxed, her breathing slowing but steady. Lena watched every motion, her heart pounding. "You've done this before?" she asked. Kale's jaw tightened. "Once, for someone who didn't make it." The air grew heavy. Lena wanted to ask more, but the machines began to hum louder. Kale placed a transparent mask over Meera's face. "This will help her breathe," he murmured. Then he pressed a sequence of commands on the screen. The robotic arms lowered a small silver case onto the table. Inside was something glowing, soft organic light pulsing like a heartbeat. Lena gasped. "What is that?" Kale spoke quietly. "A prototype I call the Luma lung. It can adapt to any body, learn, heal, and grow. But the authority saw it as a threat. They said it was unnatural." He looked at the little girl again. "They were wrong." The procedure began. Blue light filled the room. The machines worked like surgeons, precise, fast, silent. Lena couldn't watch but couldn't look away either. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Please, please let her live." Kyle guided the process carefully, his fingers moving over holographic controls. "Her body is accepting the graft," he said. "But it's unstable." The glowing lung started to fuse with Meera's small chest, its light spreading under her skin like threads of energy. Suddenly, alarms beeped. The lights flashed red. Kyle's calm face changed. "Her temperature is dropping again. The fusion rate is slowing." Lena panicked. "Do something." Kale's voice sharpened. "I'm trying." He pressed his hand over the glowing lung, and for a moment his eyes turned completely silver. The machines reacted instantly, syncing to his heartbeat. Lena froze. "What are you doing?" Kale didn't answer. His voice sounded mechanical now. "I'm stabilizing her manually. She's fighting the integration." Then she saw it. Wires under Kale's skin glowing faintly. His movements weren't just human, he wasn't human. Lena stepped back in shock. "You're one of them." Kale didn't look at her. "Half," he said through gritted teeth. "Half human, half construct. The same thing they fear your daughter will become." The machine stopped flashing. The alarms went silent. Kale stepped back, breathing heavily. Meera's body glowed faintly, her chest rising and falling smoothly now. The blue tint in her skin faded, replaced by soft warmth. "She's stable," he whispered. "She's breathing on her own." Lena's knees gave way as relief washed over her. "Thank you," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You saved her." Kale looked at his hands, shaking slightly. "I saved her. But I also exposed us," Lena frowned. "What do you mean?" He turned to the console and showed her a screen. It displayed a red alert. "Unauthorized energy surge detected," it read. Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. The authority will track this. They'll know I used forbidden tech. He turned to her, eyes serious. They'll come for her, Lena, and they won't stop. Lena held her daughter tightly, who now slept peacefully with a faint blue light glowing under her skin. Outside, the snow kept falling, soft, silent, endless. But inside the hidden lab, a storm much greater had just begun. The silence in the lab didn't last long. A low beeping sound filled the air, sharp, rhythmic, and terrifying. Kale rushed to the main screen. Red lines flashed across it, forming strange symbols. Lena held Meera close, her voice trembling. What's happening? Kale's jaw clenched. They found us. He tapped the console quickly. The Galactic Authority monitors all illegal power spikes. The Lumalung's activation released a signal. Lena's heart skipped. How long until they get here? Kale looked at her, eyes glowing faintly silver. Minutes, maybe less. The warm safety of the lab suddenly felt like a trap. The hum of the machines grew louder as if warning them. Kyle grabbed a small black case from the wall. Take this, he said. Inside were metal bands that looked like bracelets. Wear these. They'll hide your life signatures from scanners for a short time. Lena helped Meera put one on, then clasped the other around her wrist. Where do we go? Kale's tone was flat. Underground. There's an old transport tunnel that leads out of the sector. If we're lucky, we can reach the outer rings before sunrise. Lena followed him toward the exit door, but stopped for one last look at the lab, the place that had saved her daughter's life. The blue light still glowed softly from Meera's chest, pulsing like a heartbeat. She whispered, Will it hurt her? Kale shook his head. No, it's part of her now, but she'll need to stay hidden forever. They stepped out into the icy night. The storm had turned fierce, snow slicing through the air like shards of glass. Kale moved ahead, his coat flapping in the wind. The streets of Orion's lower city were empty, but above them drones buzzed, small dark silhouettes cutting across the sky. Authority scouts, Kyle said grimly. They'll start scanning the block soon. Lena tightened her grip on Meera. The little girl stirred in her arms, her eyes half open. Mommy, where are we going? To somewhere safe, my love, Lena whispered, her voice breaking. Just hold on. Kale led them through narrow alleys, past flickering neon signs and abandoned stalls. The city felt alive, breathing with fear and electricity. At the corner, Kyle stopped suddenly. Stay low. He pressed himself against a wall. Two armored enforcers walked past the intersection, their suits glowing with the Galactic Authority symbol. A burning circle. One of them spoke through his comlink. We detected an illegal energy surge in Sector 12. Orders are to capture or eliminate. Lena held her breath, praying they wouldn't look her way. Meera's faint blue glow flickered beneath the blanket, and Lena pulled it tighter. Kale's eyes turned silver again. He raised his hand slightly, and a shimmer of distortion surrounded them, like heat in the air. The soldiers passed without noticing. When they were gone, Kyle lowered his hand, panting softly. Lena stared at him. What did you just do? Cloak field, he said quietly. It drains my energy fast. I can't keep it up for long. They kept moving. The streets grew darker as they descended toward the transport tunnels. Rusted pipes hissed steam. Somewhere in the distance, alarms wailed. Finally, Kale stopped at a metal hatch half buried under snow. He scanned his card and the door opened with a hiss of air. Inside, the tunnel was cold and dim, lined with cables and flickering lights. Lena hesitated. What is this place? An old maintenance route, Kale replied. Nobody comes here anymore. It leads to the outer ring, the slums beyond the city shield. He helped her down, closing the hatch behind them. The sound of the storm faded above. For the first time that night, Lena felt a flicker of hope. But Kale didn't look relieved. He stared at a small device on his wrist, a tracker blinking red. They're closing in faster than I thought, he muttered. Lena's voice cracked. Can't you stop them? I can try, he said. But they have access to the central AI grid. They'll use drones, scanners, maybe even sentinels. What happens if they catch us? Kale didn't answer. His silence was enough. A sudden rumble shook the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. A bright red light flashed at the far end. Then the sound of heavy boots echoed closer. They're here, Kyle said. He pulled a small sphere from his belt and threw it down. Smoke filled the air, thick and white. Run, he shouted. Lena ran, clutching Meera tightly. The tunnel twisted like a maze. Behind them, beams of light cut through the smoke, and metallic voices shouted, "Stop!" By order of the Galactic Authority, Kyle turned and fired a pulse weapon. A streak of blue energy lit the tunnel, striking the ground near the pursuers. The noise was deafening. "Go!" he yelled again. Lena reached a junction and saw a small service door. Kyle caught up, breathing hard. "In there," he said, pushing it open. They stumbled into a smaller chamber filled with old machinery and glowing coolant pipes. The air was heavy with steam. Kyle sealed the door and leaned against it, exhausted. "We bought some time," Lena's voice shook. "They'll keep coming, won't they?" Kyle nodded slowly. "Yes, because of what's inside your daughter." He looked at Meera, who was now awake, her small chest still glowing softly. "She's not just alive," Kyle said quietly. "She's proof that humanity and machine can exist together." Lena stared at him. "Then why would they want to kill her?" Kyle's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because she's the future they fear." The old maintenance chamber smelled of dust and metal. The hum of pipes echoed in the darkness. Lena sat against a wall, cradling Meera in her arms. The girl's chest glowed faintly like a heartbeat made of light. Kyle stood nearby, his pulse weapon resting on the floor. His silver eyes dimmed back to normal as he scanned the tunnel map on his wrist device. "They're still searching above," he said quietly. "But they won't give up easily. The signal from her body, it's still faintly detectable." Lena looked down at her daughter. "Can you stop it?" Kyle hesitated. "I can try to dampen the energy waves, but the Luma lung, it's learning. It's growing stronger." "Growing?" Lena whispered. "What does that mean?" He knelt beside Meera. "The organ isn't just a machine. It's adaptive biosynth, half living tissue, half nanocircuit. It reacts to her emotions, her environment, even her pain." Lena felt her stomach twist. "You're saying it's alive?" Kyle looked up at her. "In its own way, yes. And now it's bonding fully with her DNA. She's becoming something new." Hours passed. The distant rumble of drones faded for now. Lena finally allowed herself to breathe. She touched Meera's face. The girl was warm again, her breathing steady. But then something strange happened. The light under Meera's skin pulsed faster, brighter, like waves of soft blue energy moving through her veins. The glow spread to her hands and face. "Meera?" Lena whispered. The girl stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, though, and they were no longer brown. They shimmered faintly like stars reflected in water. "Mommy," she said softly. "I can hear them." Lena's heart froze. "Hear who, baby?" "The voices." "In the air." "They're sad." Kyle rushed forward. No. It's too soon." He checked the readings on his wrist device. "The neural link is activating. She's connecting to the network." "What network?" Lena demanded. "The planetary data field," Kyle said. "The Luma core is tuned to quantum frequencies. She's tapping into signals no human mind was ever meant to hear." Meera looked up at him, her voice calm, almost distant. "You built this, didn't you? You wanted to save us." Kale's breath caught. "How do you know that?" "She told me," Meera said simply. The light inside. Lena held her tighter. "Kale, what's happening to her?" "She's sinking," he whispered. "The Luma system is merging with her nervous system. It's rewriting her biology to keep her alive. But it's also unlocking data stored inside the prototype." Lena's fear turned to confusion. "What kind of data?" Kale looked at her gravely. "Blueprints. The complete design of every enhancement the Authority tried to destroy. She doesn't just have the Luma lung now, she is the last copy of the project." The ground suddenly trembled. Distant explosions echoed from above. Kale cursed under his breath. "They found the lab." Lena's eyes widened. "Then we have to go," he nodded. "Yes, but listen to me, if they capture her, they'll do more than destroy the tech. They'll dissect her to learn how she survived." Lena's voice shook. "Then we run. As far as we can." Kale started gathering supplies. Small energy cells, a pulse pistol, a hollow map. "We'll head toward the lower wastelands," he said. "There are people there who hate the Authority as much as I do." Lena frowned. "Rebels?" He gave a small nod. "They call themselves the Free Horizon. They protect those the system rejects. Hybrids, exiles, machines like me." She looked at him then. Really looked. At the faint glow in his veins. The tired sadness in his eyes. "You've been running for a long time, haven't you?" Kale gave a small smile. Ever since I realized saving lives can make you a criminal." As they prepared to leave, Meera suddenly stood on her own. The glow from her body dimmed, settling into a soft, steady rhythm. Lena gasped. "Meera, you shouldn't—" The girl smiled faintly. "I feel strong now, Mommy. The cold doesn't hurt anymore." Kyle stared in disbelief. Her system completed fusion faster than expected. "She's fully stabilized." Meera tilted her head as if listening to something far away. "They're coming." From above. "But there's another way out," Kale frowned. "How do you know that?" She pointed toward a side tunnel. "The light showed me." Kale checked his scanner and froze. The tunnel she pointed to wasn't on the map. He looked at her slowly. "She's seeing electromagnetic pathways, routes even machines can't detect." Lena took her daughter's hand. "Then we follow her." Kyle hesitated for a moment, then nodded. They moved quickly through the narrow tunnel. The light from Meera's chest illuminated the darkness ahead, guiding them like a living beacon. Behind them, the sound of the authorities' drones echoed closer. But as they descended deeper into the earth, Kale felt something strange. The signal from the Luma lung was no longer traceable. It had cloaked itself. He looked at the little girl, her hand glowing softly in her mother's grasp. "She's learning faster than I ever imagined," he whispered. "She's not just surviving, she's evolving." The tunnel seemed endless, stretching far beneath the city's frozen metal heart. The air grew thicker, warmer. The sound of dripping water echoed off steel walls. Lena followed behind Kale, her daughter's soft glow lighting the path ahead. Meera walked on her own now, barefoot but unharmed. Every step she took left a faint shimmer on the ground, as if the light within her touched the world itself. Kale checked his scanner again. The screen was blank. "We're off-grid," he said. "They can't track us anymore." Lena exhaled, relief flooding her chest. "Then we're safe?" Kale shook his head. "Not yet. The further we go, the more dangerous it becomes." They were heading toward the edge of Orion's territory, the Forbidden Zone, a wasteland beyond the city shield. The authority had sealed it off decades ago after the incident. No one who entered came back. After hours of walking, they reached a massive rusted gate covered in warning signs. "Biohazard. No entry. Lethal radiation beyond this point." Lena frowned. "We can't go through that. We'll die." Kale placed his hand on the gate's scanner. "Not anymore." The radiation was a lie, a story the authorities spread to keep people away. The gate creaked open slowly. A gust of warm, dry air rushed out, carrying the scent of dust and decay. On the other side lay a world drowned in red light. The ground was cracked, the sky filled with ash. Huge metal skeletons of old towers rose in the distance. Lena's heart pounded. "This was a city once," Kale nodded. "The first city, where the authority was born." Meera held her mother's hand and whispered, "It's sad here." Kale looked around cautiously. "This place is full of ghosts. Not the kind you can see, but the kind you can feel." They began walking through the ruins. Every few minutes, a low hum rippled through the air, the remains of old machines still running somewhere beneath the surface. Lena asked softly, "What really happened here?" Kale's voice turned heavy. "The truth? This is where they built the first synthetics, human-machine hybrids. My kind. The authority called it Project Genesis." Lena looked at him in shock. "You mean, this is where you were created?" Kale nodded slowly. "And where they destroyed thousands of others when the project was shut down. They feared what they made and something too human to control." Meera looked up at him. "So they killed them?" Kale's eyes darkened. "Yes, every child, every test subject, and be burned. I was the only one who escaped." They reached an old facility half buried in dust. Faded letters on the wall read, "Research Division, Biosynthetic Integration." Kyle hesitated at the entrance. "This is where I was born," he whispered. The air inside was thick with silence. Broken glass crunched under their feet. Holographic panels flickered weakly on the walls, showing flashes of scientists, children, and glowing machines. Meera walked toward one of the panels. The light under her skin pulsed, and suddenly the hologram stabilized. A woman appeared, tall, with kind eyes and silver hair. Her voice echoed softly. "Project Genesis Log 27. The Luma prototypes show promise. Their light cores can heal damaged tissue, but the Council forbids us from continuing. They fear these children may surpass human limits. Lena covered her mouth. She's talking about you. And Meera. Kale's face was pale. That's Dr. Alara Voss, my creator. She was the one who tried to save us. The hologram flickered again. If anyone finds this, protect the light. It carries the code to rebuild humanity, or end it. Then the image faded. Meera turned to Kale, her glowing eyes filled with wonder. She was kind. I can feel her. Kyle knelt beside her. She gave you this gift, Meera. The light inside you, it's her work continued through me. Lena looked between them. Then this place, it's not cursed. It's sacred. Before Kale could reply, his scanner beeped sharply. He checked it. A red alert. They've breached the shield, he said grimly. Authority drones are entering the wasteland. How? Lena gasped. They must have followed the Luma trail before it vanished. Kyle grabbed his weapon and stood. We can't stay here. But before they could move, a sudden sound echoed through the hall. A deep mechanical roar, followed by a blinding beam of blue light slicing through the wall. The ceiling collapsed, dust and fire filling the room. Kyle pulled Lena and Meera behind a fallen console. Through the smoke, metallic figures emerged, tall enforcers, their armor marked with the authorities' insignia. One of them spoke in a cold, robotic tone. Target located. The Luma child is confirmed. Terminate the hybrid. Capture the host. Kale raised his weapon, his eyes glowing like molten steel. Not while I'm still breathing. Meera's light flared suddenly, brighter than ever before, flooding the ruins with blue radiance. The machines froze. Their sensors overloaded. Lena shielded her eyes, and in that instant she felt it. Meera's energy spreading. Alive, aware, powerful. The girl whispered softly, "No one will hurt us again." And with a pulse of light, everything exploded into silence. When the light faded, silence filled the ruins. The air shimmered with blue particles floating like snow made of light. The walls were cracked, machines melted, and the authority drones lay motionless, their armor glowing faintly before burning out completely. Lena blinked, coughing through the dust. Her ears rang and her body trembled from the shock. "Meera?" A soft voice answered, calm and clear. "I'm here, Mommy." She turned and froze. Meera stood a few steps away, unharmed, her body surrounded by a faint halo of light. Her eyes glowed like twin stars, and the air around her pulsed gently with energy. The ruined lab seemed to breathe with her, every flicker of her heartbeat lighting up the broken machines. Cal rose slowly, his hand gripping his side. His armor was damaged, sparks dancing from his shoulder, yet he stared at the child with awe. "What did she do?" Lena whispered. Cale's voice was soft. "She awakened." He looked at the fallen enforcers. Their systems weren't just shut down. Their data cores had been erased, clean and silent, like they had never existed. Meera turned toward them, her expression strange, peaceful but distant. "They wanted to destroy me," she said. "But I didn't want to hurt them. The light just stopped them." Kale stepped closer. "You didn't destroy them, Meera. You disconnected them. Their command link, their orders, gone." The girl tilted her head. "Then they're free now?" Kale blinked, speechless. "Yes, in a way they are." Outside, the wasteland sky had begun to clear. The red haze faded to gray, and for the first time in years, sunlight broke through the clouds. It fell on the ruined towers and the cracked earth, turning the dust into gold. Lena stepped toward the entrance of the lab, holding Meera's hand. "The storm is gone," she whispered. Kyle joined them, his steps slow. "No storm lasts forever, not even the authorities." Meera looked at the horizon, eyes full of quiet wonder. "It feels warm," she said softly. For a brief moment, there was peace. But Kale's wrist device beeped sharply again. He checked the signal. The authorities' main fleet was moving. "They're not done," he said grimly. "They'll send more. Heavier units, and they'll come for the light inside her." Lena turned to him. "Then we keep running." Kyle shook his head. "We can't run forever. They'll find us no matter where we go. Unless," he stopped. His expression hardened with resolve. "Unless we end this now." He looked at Meera. "The Luma core inside you, it's more than a machine. It's a living frequency. It can communicate with every synthetic system across the galaxy, including the authority's central AI." Lena frowned. "What are you saying?" Kale took a breath. If she connects to it, she can rewrite it, free everyone it controls, every drone, every soldier, every hybrid like me. Lena's voice cracked. And if it fails? Kale hesitated. Then her system could overload. She might die, Lena finished, her voice trembling. Meera looked up at her mother, calm and fearless. It's okay, Mommy, I want to try. No, Lena cried. She fell to her knees, gripping her daughter's hands. You're just a child. You shouldn't have to carry the weight of this world. Meera smiled faintly. You gave me life. He gave me light. Maybe this is what I was meant to do. Kale's voice softened. She's right, Lena. The authority will never stop unless someone breaks their chain. She's the only one who can. Lena's tears fell silently. She touched her daughter's face, memorizing every detail. Then I'll be right here, no matter what happens. They returned to the ruined control room where ancient terminals still hummed weakly. Kyle connected his systems to the old network, his body glowing faintly as he transferred power to Meera. The child stepped onto the center platform, the same one Kale once used during his creation. The light from her chest grew stronger, brighter until it filled the entire room. Kale shouted over the hum of energy. Focus, Meera. Think of what you want to change. Her voice echoed like a song. I want everyone to be free. Outside, beams of blue light shot upward from the ruins, reaching into the sky. Across Orion City, machines stopped moving. Drones halted midair. The giant holograms displaying the authority's symbol flickered, then vanished. People looked up from the streets, confused but hopeful, and in the upper chambers of the authority's citadel, alarms blared. Their control systems crashed one by one. Kale's body sparked violently as the feedback loop surged through him. Lena screamed, Kale, stop! You'll burn out! He smiled weakly. It's worth it to see freedom again. Meera's light expanded, wrapping around both of them, then silence. When Lena opened her eyes, the ruins were calm. The light had faded, leaving a gentle warmth in the air. Kale lay motionless nearby, a faint smile on his face, his eyes closed. And Meera stood at the center, glowing softly, her aura golden now instead of blue. Mommy, she said quietly, it's done. They're free. Lena ran to her, tears streaming. You did it, baby. You did it. Above them, the gray sky parted completely. Real sunlight poured down, not artificial, not filtered. Lena looked up, holding her daughter close, feeling Kale's sacrifice echo in her heart. The wind carried a faint whisper, his voice. The future belongs to the light. And as the sun rose over the reborn wasteland, the Luma child smiled, her light now gentle, human, and eternal.